Hi, I'm Rinette Lagace. I'm the author of The Courageous Entrepreneur and a certified professional bookkeeper. And I have with me today Maria Hampvent. Maria, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, great. Thank you. I am currently a certified somatic leadership coach who also is certified, and I teach leadership in global context in an MBA program in Vancouver at University of Canada West, part-time, individuals and organizations. And when I do organizational coaching, I teach leadership in order to promote positive organizational culture.
Maria, I'd love for you to tell me why you got into what you are doing.
Okay. I think when I found the training that started me on this path, it was because I was deeply unsatisfied with my career in financial planning. And it was a career that made sense because of the schedules. Being a single mom, I needed to be working when my ex-husband was not, because he was a commercial fisher, I had to pick a career that complemented his seasons. And I hadn't finished my degree, and I was needing to provide for my small family. And so I got into that career, and then the meltdown of 2008 happened, where there was all of this corruption, and the world kind of, The Big Short came out, the movie came out, and people kind of looked at, are investments ethical? What's happening with when you bet on borrowing? What is it all made of? Where is it all coming from, and how does it all fit together? And it sort of felt like economics was this house of cards that was going to topple over at any point in time. And at that point, I was working with over 300 different family groups with their wealth and their financial planning. And carrying that stress I had this one incident where I woke up, sort of dying. And I went to the doctor. I was like, is this a heart attack? I was only in my 30s. And that sort of health scare kind of prompted me to look at stress and my values and that career, and if I could sustain it in the long run. And it turns out I couldn't. So that's kind of
That's a great start. I'm like, wow. It's amazing how our past has gotten to where we are. But what got you into what you do now what you do for somatic healing, I believe is what you're doing now.
Yeah, somatic leadership coaching is based on exactly what I went through. So it's for people that really want to be working in work that feels energetically aligned to who they are and what they want to bring forth into the planet, and moving towards healing the planet and healing themselves primarily, and then so that they can heal the planet. And so alignment has become my main congruency with our values. Values-based leadership is half of my master's. And then sustainable community development is the other half of my master's, which is what I noticed is that I was in a career that was not sustainable because of my values. So on a meta level, not because of my local community or because of my company in Canada, but just the bigger picture was against my values. And so therefore it was incongruent with who I was. I didn't have alignment with the bigger picture of what was happening financially worldwide. And therefore, that is what I've been deeply, deeply immersed in studying since then.
That's amazing. Well, I know we've been both doing the same work. Well, I haven't done the leadership coaching part of it. However, we've done a lot of the same work together in workshops, and you've led workshops where I participated in a lot of different manners and ways. And it's been really rewarding for myself, and being able to understand what holds me back in life, in business. And this is such a valuable tool that I know we both value, because it brings up ways to clear the blocks that keep us from being successful in whatever it is we want to be, whether it's being a stay-at-home, feeling like you're successful with your children at home, to building an empire for yourself and your family, which you've got everything in between. You've done a bit about all of it, and it's awesome because we're both parents. We both have, 4 children each that we've
Yeah.
worked through, which is ironic. Yeah, so it's a really cool way of seeing things from another perspective, and that's what I love about this modality and what you have taken on to help lead the way for so many people, which I so appreciate.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, we started our training together, you and I, 16 years ago now,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And you'd started this work before me, and I know that this work supported both of us in relationships, in parenting, in we're both entrepreneurs. You support
Yeah.
businesses in your own unique way, and I know that the principles that we both trained in for so many years now has really helped both of us manage and have happy relationships, happy families, and a work-life balance that both of us really appreciate. So just want to also bring that out too.
Yeah, I didn't realize for 16 years that we've been working together in different ways. Like, it's amazing. I really appreciate your friendship as well. Like, it's been amazing. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest struggles I have, like when I work with businesses, I really like to try and bring solutions to the table as to how they can be in a better position, maybe prepare themselves to sell their business, or perhaps prepare themselves to just go to that next level. And growth is difficult for many people. And a lot of times people fall into entrepreneurship just to create themselves a job. And that's great if that's where they want to stay. But for those who want to grow, they really need to be able to overcome some really big learning steps that I find very common along all business owners, not just one or two or a higher level, or it doesn't matter how many years you've been in it, they all encounter the same blocks. And one of them is a simple one where they first start out, they don't put money aside to cover enough taxes or GST or, things that they need to pay at the end of the year or at the end of the month. And because they just see all this money in their account and they just want to spend it. Based on the training that you and I have done, what does that tie to a lot?
There could be a number of things going on for sure with like that. There's usually it's limiting beliefs though. So subconscious patterns, so any pattern that's happening that you're not fully aware of, you're not conscious of, whether that's spending too much, whether that's not valuing the idea of savings, or whether you're not disciplined enough to have habits around that kind of stuff. Those usually are all sitting on top of these patterns that have beliefs underneath them around our worth, and typically around scarcity, around wealth, around financial stability. Like, so many different things are at play, and typically those beliefs get locked in like under age 5, sometimes under age 12. And so when the beliefs get like, it's a type of, it's almost like brainwashing, but it's also, it's family of origin, or it's your first impressions, or the first people in your life that are around you transmit into you unchecked these beliefs, and those beliefs form patterns. And so becoming aware of those beliefs in the realm of business, success, financial, also relationship, really any aspect of life. That's why understanding the psychology and the fact that a little bit more about the subconscious and unconscious mind is really, really helpful, because it can free my clients and your clients, these things that they don't see are restricting them. Like, they're like, I want to start saving, but I just don't know why I don't just start. Like, I know the information, like they know in the conscious mind, they have the data, but they don't have a handle on what's underneath that. And so typically in the training you and I've been a part of for so long, we would look at the iceberg, and the iceberg would show the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind as stacked, and where it's getting bigger under the water. And it's these deeper areas in a model where you understand the psychology under it that can really help transform limiting beliefs, which therefore then release you from these patterns.
So with those limiting beliefs, is it do you find it kind of plays a role in your business life as well as your personal life?
Yes, it doesn't discriminate. So
100%. I agree, but I just find that such an
I know.
yeah, but it's just important to point out that whatever we carry in our personal life carries over to our business life, and if we're not able to fix it here, it's not going to work over here still. So
Yes,
finding those,
we're us. We take
yes,
ourselves everywhere. So
yeah,
that's why doing the emotional intelligence training and doing the psychology training, like understanding how the human mind works and how the subconscious unconscious
hmm,
works, transforms business as well as everything else at home, because we are us. So we take ourselves. Many people have personalities that they can put on at work or different ways of being, but these subconscious and unconscious programs run under all of it. So
hmm,
yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. So I'm just like, I want to tie it to some actual scenarios that people
Okay.
might do at home and in business. So if they're not able to save in the business to cover those taxes and whatnot, so the chances are they're not saving in their own personal life as well, which might be very difficult. Sometimes having a relationship where one is a good saver and one's not so good at saving works well, because one's always kind of making sure that we have some money set aside. Whereas a business, as a sole proprietor, it might be a little bit more difficult unless you have a partner who has to sign off with you. And that kind of makes it easier to kind of put those boundaries in place to help with those steps. And now, I'm not saying that everybody should do that. And I find very few partnerships work really, really well. But when you find one that works, it's fantastic. And it's win-win for both parties. Not that we want that to be the solution for our limiting beliefs that are creating that. I'm just thinking, how would they take those steps to clear those kind of limiting beliefs? Like, I know you're saying we need to identify them. Number one, that is half the battle, I think, with anything, is identifying, oh, that's that thing happening again. Oh my goodness. Yes. My mom and dad always said money didn't grow in trees. They never had extra money for certain things. And I had to make a big case to them to be able to have money to go buy something that I really thought I wanted. Then after I bought it, I was like, oh, I really didn't want it that much, which is kind of
Yeah.
silly, but it was more like I felt I had to have something or have it to feel like I wasn't in scarcity, which is kind of silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think so from in the long, like going back to the question, which is, well, first of all, there's a reflection that you made there, which is kind of true from what I've seen teaching and looking at families and financial stuff because if you add my coaching 10 years to the financial planning 18 years, that's a lot
Yeah.
of time of listening to people talk about money and success. So a spender and a saver almost always are partnered up. And it's like, I don't know if that I've yet to meet two savers married
Oh,
or partnered
interesting.
up. But maybe that's because they're not who needs coaching. Like they're not who needs my advice. But ideally you want to have both and be both. You want to know
Oh,
when to spend and make an investment, and you don't want to be kind of Scrooge with and hold it on too tight to your money. And ideally you know when to spend and when to save. So ideally, people get versatile and mature in their relationship to financial intelligence, financial literacy, and then financial maturity, just like emotional literacy, intelligence, and then maturity. So it's like a progression. And so, what I think you're asking is, how do people best go through that progression? The
mhm.
first step is being aware, like, yes, I want financial maturity, or yes, I want emotional maturity. You'd have to declare with self-awareness and take
Mhm.
accountability for yourself. So that's always the first step, is being wanting to be accountable.
Yes, that's
So
absolutely. It's so important.
if if a client of yours doesn't want to be accountable for their saving or their
Yeah.
spending habits, then there will be no change.
And they won't be my client. I want to help people who want to move forward or change
Yeah.
and improve where they're at. That's my goal, is to move them from this point to another point. That's based on the goals they have set out for me. So if they don't have goals moving forward, it might not be the right fit for them. It might be someone else. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to be able to make a difference for people in their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Russell Brand, when he was teaching 12-step over COVID, I decided to dive in and learn a little bit more about what makes somebody so successful. And so I took 12 steps with Russell Brand, and he said, if you, something like this, not verbatim, but if you aren't running a consciousness program, your unconscious is running you. And so we're all in programs, like we're all doing patterns, we're all being run by something. And if you don't choose self-awareness and wanting to shine the light on what's unconsciously running you and choose a consciousness program, AA is one of many consciousness programs. So you and I have been a part of Steps to Leadership, which is a consciousness program, and like my upcoming program, Steps to Conscious Business, which you're also a graduate from, is another consciousness program. So how can leaders and managers and entrepreneurs change? And typically it's enrolling in a consciousness program and graduating so that they have the skills that they can understand how to get back to their mature mind when they start to get away from themselves and let these limiting beliefs run, knowing, and diagnosing themselves. Okay, I'm doing it again. Okay, get back on track. So usually for people to get back on track, they need an accountability system.
Right.
That's why coaching is so important. It's an accountability partner. Coaching programs are the cheapest way to engage with a coach, because you get the education as well as the coaching. And so to change your habits, you need a certain amount of days in a row of doing something differently.
Yeah.
And typically for that to stick, just like in your physical body, you would choose a course or a program or a coach to walk through building certain muscles in certain areas. And until you've done it for 3 weeks to 3 months, you're not necessarily in a good enough habit to sustain it without a little bit of accountability or supervision. Like you would go to a class or your Pilates studio or your kickboxing studio until you can actually take that home, if you ever can, and be unsupervised and still do your habit alone at home when you could just be eating or sitting on the couch.
Right. And that is so easy to do some days. And there's some great movies out there. But I feel like I'm an accountability coach for my clients, where we make sure that those steps that need to be done are being done and help following them through, and just bringing items to light that, like you say, they're operating under their unconscious, and having yourself or someone like myself in there as a different aspect from different perspectives, 100%. It's so valuable in the way that it moves them forward or keeps them moving in the right direction. And we're all going to step back and make those mistakes and falter a little. But at the same time, it's practice that brings us to that next level. It never is going to be a one-time fix. I wish it was. That would be like magic. But at the same time, every time you practice, you learn a little more. It's like, I do it that way. That's what I'm doing. Oh, I'm a little competitive. Oops. Okay, got it. No big deal. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say the other thing about helping people achieve success is being literate enough about the area of your business, your life, to know when you need support. So when do you need to hire a bookkeeper? When do you need to have someone in charge of your social media sales? When do you need to delegate and hire? And so I think the best and most successful leaders have a really good team around them, and they know their zones of excellence, and they have other people that are excellent that support them in all of those ways, so that they can do what they're really good at more often, rather than also needing to, like in my business, with my company, I'm struggling to learn all of these things so that then I can delegate. So it's like, I'm learning this piece so that then I know how to train someone or be someone's boss in that area.
Yeah.
And so figuring that out is really, really important for businesses that might be like just under a ceiling of the next level of success. That's typically when clients do the best, when they find me, is right when they're very close to doing something, to leveling up in some way. And they just need this push or education, or the somatics come into play, then it really strongly, that's when the somatics really help, is transforming locked energy in the subconscious unconscious. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fantastic. I really like how you've explained all of this. This is really, really useful and helpful. I don't need to know it all, but I do know when I need to tell my client, you need now to take this to a lawyer. I am not a lawyer, but I know there's a problem here, or a potential problem, or maybe you need to see an HR specialist because this is something that can be very difficult to overcome, or perhaps you need to see a coach or an investor gentleman that might bring money to your business so you can expand and grow. Like there's so many different levels that we do not need to be that single one person by any means, but knowing our boundaries, where we're good at, and when they need to ask for that extra help. That is such a valuable skill that I bring to my clients. Like, yeah, no, you're doing fine right now, but once you get to this level of income, we need to look at incorporating. Or perhaps you have a lot of potential liability in your company. You should incorporate right from the get-go. But should you do it right away or not? Like there's a lot of costs involved in that. So having someone to just kind of guide is what I do for businesses. And you're doing the same thing from another perspective. Like this is kind of cool how we do complement one another, and we've shared the same workshops and learnings. And it's just so, I think it's very rich with what we can assist our clients with.
100%. And the thing is that in the MBA program that I teach leadership in, there's 17 chapters in the book, and one chapter is on the dark side of leadership. Yeah. So like, let's say there's 16 chapters on how to be a leader. 1.5 chapters of 16 is on delegation.
That's it. That's like a majority of the business world. Like,
I think 5 chapters are on leadership theories.
Wow. Okay.
So there's not a ton of chapters on how to be a leader. A lot of it's like, what are the concepts of leadership?
Yeah.
So I think when you really look at it, delegation is so important. I'm trying to say it's really important from that perspective, because so much of the other training in that class is theoretical. But knowing when to expand and then getting the right advice about that, because in my old psychology training, like back in the 90s and 2000s, when I did a lot of landmark education, there would be this beautiful graphic, and there's what you know, mm-hmm. and there's what you don't know. But then there's what you don't know.
That's right.
And it's this huge amount of stuff.
Yes.
And so we all start our businesses, I believe, with the best intentions, or our careers, if you're a leader or manager, with the best intentions. And then lots of times you're in the muck before you realize, whoa, I don't know enough about this to a good job right now. And so you are always figuring out, all of us in our roles are always figuring out how to be curious and get the answers we need. And some of the best people I've ever met, which are as entrepreneurs, which are typically like fishers or farmers, are people that are looking for the easiest, fastest way to produce the results they want. They have to. When you're in a time sensitive, like a fishing environment or farming, it's usually like very small resources. And so actually, I admire those two realms as being the most entrepreneurial minded people I've ever been around, even though traditionally you wouldn't necessarily think that those two jobs are entrepreneurs, but they 100%.
Absolutely.
Because working with a shoestring budget for time or money forces you to be entrepreneurial in your mindset. And that typically is finding resources, getting the information you need, and then trying something, prototyping, going forward, attempting things, because we all know that we learn best from failure, not success. So it's like actually the best lessons in business and in life are when we try something and fail. And then we go, next time I'm going to, now I'll know to do this, and this. This is when to bring in a freezer specialist, if it's a prawn boat, whatever whatever business you're in, that's kind of pretty important as well as delegating is knowing, oh my gosh, how to deal with failure.
That's a huge one. Yeah. I think business owners tend to be afraid of to fail, and because you're putting your house on the line potentially, you're putting your family at risk financially. It's a very difficult place for entrepreneurs to be in. And not everyone is made out or cut out to be an entrepreneur. Like, it is difficult. You have a shoestring. You're not coming home with that guaranteed check every 2 weeks, and you can plan your life around that guaranteed amount of money every month or every 2 weeks, whatever it is you're getting. It's a very different world, and you have to have a lot of trial and error and room for that trial and error financially, and not be so hard on yourself. Because, like you said, how many times have billionaires gone bankrupt and built up again? They just get better and faster at building again because they've learned those lessons. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. Well, and you're perfect timing to talk about your book, The Courageous Entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs have to be brave.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, but what's interesting, and I just wrote about this in my last newsletter, is in 2024, Daniel Pink did this research on regrets, and he went to over 100 countries and polled over 15,000 people, and then regrets of boldness, like where you didn't risk, were overwhelmingly the most across multiple cultures, multiple languages. And so what we can learn from this is that when people are being bold and brave enough to, courageous enough to be an entrepreneur or leader, manager, anytime you're in a leadership position, it requires bravery. Then what are the supports in place? Like whether it's your expertise, whether it's my expertise, both of us help leaders, entrepreneurs, and managers be more successful in our realms of support. So
yeah, no, I 100% agree. As much as I can put solutions in place, if they're not clearing those limiting beliefs, they get stuck. Doesn't matter how hard we work. They might be a little bit more successful, a little bit more, but it still limits how successful they can be. So it really depends on where they want to go. Like, do they really want to grow? Then they really need to get that support around them.
Yeah, I think, again, just your psychology goes with you everywhere. So you are you, and people might not achieve the success that they can achieve if they don't embark on a self-awareness or consciousness raising journey. And it's overwhelmingly because leadership, primarily the leadership examples that we have right now, and from teaching this, there's statistics that go with this. Yeah. Most leadership is not good. So most managers, most leaders do not have the skill set that they need in order to have success be accomplished. And what's usually at play there, limiting beliefs are part of it, but also there's a lack of alignment or congruency. Either the people aren't living their own values, they're not aligned with the company's values, or they haven't looked at their values. And so that sustainability that I've also studied is largely dependent on being curious about and leading with values. And so the values-based leadership piece is just consistently, because you have to know your values in order to change your beliefs anyway. So you have these limiting beliefs, but if you have never assessed or analyzed those limiting beliefs through your new grown-up lens of this emotional maturity, financial maturity, or your values, then how would you shift to something new or better? So typically the way to shift from a limiting belief into a new way of being, the vehicle of that is values, declaring what they are. And once you declare your values and learn your values by looking at yourself and thinking deeply about it, which is why it's the basis of all strategic planning, then you start to use those values, words, and those action statements to make choices in your life. And as you do that, you typically, just like if you're reading Essentialism or Atomic Habits, you're typically saying no to a whack of stuff you might have used to say yes to, in order to save your yeses for the stuff that fully meets the requirements of the values that you have or your company has.
So do you find, like, I know they're very unique. to that person, and that creates their culture in their business as well. So their values is what carries forward based upon what your beliefs are and what you think is okay to do. So as a business owner, I've seen this happen where they keep going in the till and take money out of the till randomly. Well, what are you telling your staff? It's a belief that they can take whatever they want when they need. Well, guess what? They're thinking the same thing. So what we project as our values shows up in our business, in our relationships, and it's such an important part of, identifying that. I love that. Like, that's a good way of, and you do values courses so that people identify it. Like, I know you're going to be working with our group shortly, how to identify your own values so that you choose the clients you work with that are aligned with your own values. Then when you're aligned, it's smooth, it's easy. It's not a lot of headbutting. When you have different values, it's not going to work well together.
Yeah. So there's research in, again, leadership that I teach in the MBA program. There's a ton of research on values alignment. And if I tell all my students, if you take your MBA, but go find a company to work for that has values that you believe in, because you're going to have, like, all leadership theory is based on retention. So what we know now in the world of business and organizational culture is a huge part of this, is that if companies can't retain staff, it's the single largest cost drain on the system.
It's
so
single,
retention,
retention. But those employees can be your most valuable resource if treated correctly. So you're right. It's going to go one way or the other, depending on how we choose to work with our staff and how we delegate.
And staff will not stay long at an organization where the leader isn't acting in alignment with what they say their values are. So
correct. Yes.
Leadership integrity is actually one of the single most determinants of success. Is if a leader says, our organization's running on easy come, easy go around money and possessions, then okay. But if the leader is saying, oh, this organization is about honesty, integrity, transparency, but they're reaching in and taking money out of the till, that's a lack of alignment. And all staff see through that. All staff understand it. They understand that it's toxic behavior. And they are literally, as much as, I believe in the United States right now, and it's one of the statistics that I teach, I believe as much as 45% of American staff are applying for other jobs during work hours. So they're literally at work applying for other jobs from their computer at work. Like,
yes, I've seen it.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting that you got that stat. That's fantastic. It is. Yeah. I would love to see businesses align their values, or like you say, or maybe that's okay with them to have those kind of values, and then maybe their staff will align with them when they continue with them, if they do. Whatever it is, hopefully it's a successful end to their business where they can build from or not. Because it doesn't have to look a certain way, but you do have to align with them. And just being aware of what those values you're projecting is so important. I think that's probably more, I think a lot of it's unconscious. Like you say that the staff know it and they know it's toxic. That's all unconscious again. They don't really say it. They know. But
they say it at home. They go home, they're like, guess what, honey? This is such bull crap. We're supposed to do honesty, respect, integrity, but you should have seen what happened with so-and-so yesterday. They were doing blah, blah, blah. So it does happen, and people do talk about it. And organizational justice is actually one of the key hallmarks of a successful work culture. So the fact that staff see justice happen, whether it's fair wages, fair treatment, whatever is happening, a lack of organizational justice is a key determinant of failure. So it's important. That's why when you get into some of the other things I help people with, which are governance and policies, stuff like that, from my other training in local government, to have HR practices and policies that actually are
Yes.
carried out
Consistently and within a reasonable time frame is really important. When you ignore it for a long time, it becomes a bigger issue.
Sweeping under the rug.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
all of these things are what help leadership have success, because all of these things, whether you've got a tiny organization or a large organization, it's transparent. Like it shows. It shows if you're incongruent. It shows if you don't have alignment, if you're not congruent with your spoken words and then your actions. All of that levels of integrity always show up, and all of that is based on really healthy habits, but also psychology. So you need to understand yourself first before you can transform or change yourself. So the first step, again, for leaders is still always choosing a consciousness program, and then choosing to understand and want to take responsibility to be different or show up better. When you get those 360 reviews and you read the things that people have said about you, having a plan for the next year to 3 years to tackle those shortcomings and come back better. So all people, whether you're a leader, manager, or entrepreneur, need to be in a self-awareness program no matter what. So it's like, it's consistent. The EQ and the somatic leadership that I train in is relevant to all people in all realms, because you're still you, wanting success, wanting affluence, wanting wealth, wanting generosity, a place to be able to give back, do charity work, and make your world a better place. Then it's all the same, same education that supports all of those things.
No, I really love the clients that I work with, because they tend to have a lot of the same values. They are generous, they're kind, but they're clear. And that's kindness, honestly. Like those simple little policies or HR things. It is kindness when you have clarity in place and you're not having to go back and forth and you're consistent. Like that is so amazing. When I have some amazing clients, and I'm really grateful for it, because not only have I learned a lot from them, they show me, where I'm doing well, because when they are successful, I am successful. And that's the way I look at it. Yeah.
And that's the thing with being entrepreneurs for both of us, is that we really only are as successful as our clients because word of mouth in our small communities, it's gold, or it's the most detrimental thing that can happen. So you really have to have, and I really have to have, happy clients who actually have that ability to have more power in their lives, more force from themselves, like that they have more access to more energy to do the things they want to do, removing the blocks to success and thriving. Then I get that referral, and that is really the only way you can run a business in a small town where we live, is like positive referrals.
So do you work online as well, like using Zoom to meet with clients? And do you have clients in other areas of the country, perhaps?
Yeah. I've had a client in Africa. I've had clients in Ontario, several clients in Ontario, all over BC. I have a current client I've got in Alberta right now. I've had 1 or 2 clients in the States, and I've had clients in Britain.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. No, I just was wondering, because I know I do a lot of it online myself, with coaching clients and coaching business owners to get to that next level and putting those systems in. So that's what I specialize in. Maybe it's a 3-month thing where I come in and help them drop expenses, make things more efficient, or maybe it's a long-term contract. So it is different, but it's interesting that we can both do this online. So we don't have to just work with our local clients. We have clients abroad as well, which is fantastic. Mind you, all mine are in Canada. Just because of the Canadian CRA rules with accounting and bookkeeping. But yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's
pretty. I think ever since 2020 and COVID-19 and all of the online, it's been really great for my business, because I can teach all of my classes, even though I prefer to work in person. I have one class that's completely remote, like it's only Zoom available, but all of my programs can be adapted and people can Zoom in. So yeah, Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And international is welcome for sure.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you for joining me today and sharing this great conversation. And I'm sure we'll have another conversation about different aspects of business, and we hope to continue this a little bit more. And so if you have any questions for Maria and I, just feel free to reach out and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Anything you'd like to add, Maria?
Just thank you for having me and this space. Hopefully we can help some of our potential future clients with some of the wisdom that we both shared today. And it was wonderful just watching the pathway of the conversation. And we started off in one place and went other places. And I just hope that it's beneficial for whoever chooses to listen.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.